Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
Hey, George. Do you feel a little regret creeping into the room? A little bit of like, why did I ask to watch this movie?
I don't think he did. Did you ever ask to watch this?
He did. He's like, oh, I want to watch
Did I?
that one.
Okay.
We've got it on tape. You brought this on yourself, bro. Tonight we watched Halloween Resurrection.
Resurrection.
Erection.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
That's the joke I was going to make. Thank you, Dan, for making it for
my
me.
people want to jump. Oh, shit.
Oh, guys. Before we jump in to this wonderful movie, I just have to tell you guys, I came up with a new shorthand acronym, which I used so many times today in my notes that my Google started suggesting it before I finished it.
Nice.
This acronym, IHTFM. I hate this fucking movie. So many occurrences in my notes. But guys, I'm going to say, I'm just spoiler alert for this episode. I was never bored in this movie.
Right.
George, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm okay, man. Now, Dan, you just relocated, right?
I did. This is my first episode recorded in the land of Patrick Mahomes and barbecue.
Now, your new home, do the doors lock from the inside or the outside? Is that...
Whatever is most convenient for the plot.
Aha. That's how that works.
You know, some folks do. I mean, I know folks, I use the word folks twice. I know people who have deadbolts that have keys for the inside too, which I think is super unsafe, but there are locks that lock from the inside.
I suppose there are. Yep. Locks that even from the inside you'd need a key for.
Do you see why when we talked about the Jamie Lee Curtis trilogy, we didn't tell you that she was in this movie?
Yeah.
Do you know the story behind all this? Oh, you wouldn't. Dan,
no.
Do you?
Enlighten me, Trav.
Okay, so apparently
Wendy,
when she went to with the idea to do H2O, and they collaborated, Carpenter walked away, Deborah Hill walked away, everybody walked away, and she was stuck doing this basically herself. Kevin Williamson comes in, all these people come in from Dimension, and every time she gets a rewrite of the script, the ending is either hidden or Myers is not killed. She kept saying that was in my contract, well, not in my contract, but it was in the pitch that we were going to end this thing. I was going to kill him. A whole dichotomy. There's this whole storyline here, blah, 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 facing your challenges, facing your fears, facing your demons. Every time she went to the meeting, they were not implying that he was going to die. And finally, she's like had a WTF moment. She brought it up in the meeting. They're like, listen, it's in the, was it Akkad? Mustafa Akkad is the...
Yeah, Mustafa Akkad would never let you kill Michael Myers for real.
It's in the contract of Michael Myers that you do not kill Michael Myers. And she's like, well, why didn't you tell me that from the beginning? And
because you wouldn't do the movie.
Right. So Williamson finally said, well, what if you think he's dead? What if you and the audience think he's dead? Would you still do the movie? This was her telling the story. And she finally came to a point where she's like, yeah, if I think he's dead, audience thinks he's dead, then yes. He says, well, how about we just do, and then they were planning this twist beginning before they even finished making H2O. So when she came back, she's like, this is your twist. Have him kill me in the beginning. Basically what she says. She's like, have him fucking kill me. I'm done.
Wow.
So that was her story. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. So it's a little gem. You could just, like, that would piss me off if they did that. But even Jamie Lee Curtis is not bigger than Michael Myers.
Well, and here's the thing, George. When we last left Laurie Strode. She decapitated Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And you presume lived happily and safely ever after.
Yeah.
The opening of Halloween Resurrection and the exposition and the retconning done by those nurses made me want to eject the movie and just pretend that I watched the rest of it for your benefit tonight.
Yeah.
But I stuck it out anyway, just for you, man. And so we could talk about the, stuff that happens at the end.
Yeah, why don't we just skip right to what we do to fix it? Like, there's nothing really that we're gonna gush about. Although technically, I mean, some of the kills are pretty sweet. More Jason-esque than Myers,
I don't
but
know, man.
A lot of them were homages to old kills.
Yeah, I kind of felt like it was more of the same.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything really too creative. There was some good, I mean...
I think if you take Busta Rhymes out of this movie, it's not that bad of a movie. It's still bad, but it's watchable. It's like Halloween 5 watchable. But his character is just like fucking Looney Tunes. It literally, I thought I was watching a cartoon.
Yeah.
Like, I was waiting for them to show me a chalkboard with chalk drawings of the mousetrap that he designed, like in the old Tom and Jerry cartoons.
Yeah.
Just
like crates being delivered from Acme.
From Acme
brand.
Drops
TNT.
an anvil on the head of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, George, I know you don't always read the credits. Did you notice who directed Halloween Resurrection?
No.
It's Rick Rosenthal, who directed Halloween 2.
Yeah.
So just chew on that for a minute. I mean, Halloween 2 is no Halloween 3, guys. I think we can all agree Halloween 2 is okay, but it's not as good as Halloween 3, which is the best one.
I don't know if we can all agree on that.
I think we can all agree on that. So it's kind of funny. It's just funny to see how off track. I mean, guys, they developed this movie for like 4 or 5 years after H2O, which was so good. And this is what we get. I don't know. There are things I want to talk about that I like. I don't want to just be a negative ninny and make fun of this terrible movie, because that's just piling on. Everybody knows this movie blows, except for Busta and Busta's mom, who thinks it's like the best one.
And probably Tyra Banks.
I really love the serial killer obsessed mental patient.
Yes.
And his ability to like read the Wikipedia page from memory of all these killers, if only because it gives you an oddly clever out for Michael Myers. You don't often see Michael Myers like, try to escape blame, but he just hands off that knife like, yeah, dummy, take this knife. I'll just scoot. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, that character was kind of fun. But I actually didn't even remember that because I was so angry about the other stuff that happened in the beginning when it came out in the theater. I remember when this movie came out. Ugh. You
got a Raggedy Ann doll in the cell with Laurie. That's kind of a cool throwback to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
All this movie has is nostalgic throwbacks and terrible new ideas.
Yeah. Although the one good idea, I remember when this came out, it really made me angry because I thought, not that I thought of this idea, but remember when Survivor was like the biggest thing on TV?
Yeah.
Yes.
I had an idea back then because of all the cameras and everything. And I wasn't sure how to do it because back then the cameras had cameramen. And we were like not at this point of streaming and everything. But I thought it would be cool if one of the cast members of Survivor or Big Brother or whatever was a serial killer and everything they were doing was being recorded and broadcasted, kind of like Truman Show.
As a person who doesn't love reality shows, that would make for compelling television. Yes. Even today. Just saying.
Yes. Yeah, it would have been cool. But when this came out, it kind of tainted it to the point where no one's ever they're all going to remember Halloween Resurrection because of that. And they were kind of ahead of their time when it comes to like streaming.
I'll tell you what, I thought that was a cool idea.
Yeah.
It took, what was going on at the time. What year was this?
2003, I think.
Yeah, it's
Two?
like 2002, 2003.
Okay, so I thought that what they were doing for the time with reality shows and stuff like that, it was a cool idea.
And this is like around like the Real World was like the biggest thing,
Right?
reality TV was.
Yeah, exactly. Bug a house. It's super scary.
Right.
It kind of almost reminded me of Ghost Hunters type of television. And and how the user could select which camera they're watching. That was cool. Like it's a cool idea.
Yeah, and it's basically a haunted house being streamed in one of the most famous killer's house. Like that's all a good idea. The only problem was the catacombs.
Yeah, I mean there was all kinds of problems. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but like the concept was pretty cool.
Even back then, we were excited about it until we watched it.
Yeah. And then I don't know where does this timeline fall like with like Blair Witch?
Yeah,
like the
around the same time.
first person camera.
Yeah,
stuff.
That was the other thing when we were done, because back when we used to watch movies at the theater, we would talk in the parking lot afterwards, and kind of like what we're doing.
Yeah,
and that was one of the things that we talked about was this would have been a good found footage type movie as well. And then one of my friends was like, well, you can tell that this was a script for something else, and then they kind of adapted it to Halloween.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. See also Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Jason Goes to Hell. They've confirmed Jason Goes to Hell was something else before they got the go-ahead to make it a Jason movie via shoehorn.
So, like, probably someone had a story and it just wasn't marketable. So they're like, well, why don't we do the stream? It wasn't even streaming back then. The reality TV killer type thing, and just make it Michael Myers. Because the guy in the chair was kind of cool. That was a cool idea too. That was ahead of the time as well. This kid across the country is able to see what's going on at the Myers house because of being streamed.
And the kid in the chair. I'm like, who are you talking? The kid in the chair.
Yeah, like it was again ahead of its time where we're at now.
Yeah,
where you can sit in Hawaii. What's that?
What was his name? Declan?
Declan, I think. But you could sit in Hawaii and watch what's going on in Cherry Hill and comment on it.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's a great idea for a horror movie. That whole thing, he's still alive.
Yeah.
He's still in the house.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool. But it's so lost because the acting, everybody they cast in this movie is terrible.
I like their costumes, though, at the party.
Oh, yeah.
They were good costumes.
Yeah, I figured you would like that.
But you know what's the worst part about the costumes was? The first line that they deliver when they're wearing them is, "You think people will know that we're from Pulp Fiction?" It's like, I don't watch any movies, and I know you're from Pulp Fiction.
Oh my God, this movie!
It's like this movie's insulting my intelligence.
And they didn't work into the script. One of the guys somebody at the party saying what to Jules. That would have been hilarious. He just say what again?
Yeah.
To me, I call this movie Halloween missed opportunities. Like there's just so many. And the guy playing Myers was good. The mask was a little too over detailed. I think the mask would have been perfect if they didn't shade it with airbrush and have those eyebrows defined.
Yeah,
because it was picking up the light correctly. It was in the shadows correctly. All the contours were correct.
Yeah, I thought the mask looked good, except for there was like a little bit of like eye black.
Yeah, he had the Batman eye black going on,
and the hair was like more frizzy than I think the first.
It looked like it was like singed, like it almost like they took the mask and then they singed the hair because it was kind of like you said, it was like.
I don't know if any Michael Myers has looked as good as the first one.
No,
for me,
this might be
like,
as good as they've looked since. Like this wasn't a bad look for Myers.
No, my problem is the same problem I had with the remake Leatherface, which you'll definitely see. It's over stylized. It's made in a special effects department.
Right.
Yeah, nobody in their basement made that mask.
Right. Like the original Myers mask, you can see the creepiness is you can see that it was made from another mask and it was creepy.
Yeah.
It had a blank stare. Once you start airbrushing eyebrows to give it like definition, you start doing the laugh lines and the ear hole and all this. It's too much. Take the airbrush and get rid of it.
Right.
So, but again, the sculpt of it was nice, but the paint job kind of was par for the course with this movie. Just overdone.
Yep.
Guys, Rookie of the Year is in this movie.
Yes, he is.
Henry Rosenberger.
And that's before American Pie, I think, or after.
This would have been right
I think it's
after.
It's right after, yeah.
So he's already been ruining people's adult beverages, and now he's helping ruin Halloween.
Making Solo Cups famous.
Red Solo Cup, he fills you up.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a party.
Ugh.
Hi, this is Dan in Post. Now, you and I both know it was actually a clear, disposable cup in American Pie. George doesn't know that. But for the sake of artistic integrity, I felt we had to mention the red Solo Cup for the sake of the song. All right, back to the show.
Yeah, and I remember that being weird because you knew him, because I guess American Pie wasn't as big at the time. You knew him from Rookie of the Year. You knew him from Disney movie, and here he's playing this like creep.
I don't know him from any movies.
You don't remember him from your childhood?
No.
Kind of a little Disney actor.
No.
It's a rough way to meet him.
I know of one scene from actually two scenes from American Pie, because I was watching like a special effects video,
Right.
and they were talking about the special effects with the Solo Cup, and so I know that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is the pie scene.
Yes.
That's all I know.
Well, we'll have to watch that then.
Yeah.
At some point. I don't know where it fits, but probably have to rewatch Failsafe too.
You know, I imagine if you had the pie in front of you, you just figure it out.
Right.
Right.
So, guys, one thing about this movie that I did not remember from my last viewing, which was more recently than I'd care to mention, because I watched it a little while ago just to see if it really is as bad as I remember, and it is. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
They set up the kung fu thing like way early, and I was like, "Oh, look at that! They put in the work to set it up, and it's still the dumbest thing in this movie."
Shit.
Speaking of that, the whole idea of the fake haunts and the fake scares, and then Busta Rhymes wearing the mask. Again, another missed opportunity. It would have been really cool because they were all in on it. He said, I'm going to scare you. It's good. We're all going to make money. They should have had Myers not kill somebody right away, so that they think that it's Busta in that costume, and they're kind of their guards down a bit, and then he finally kills somebody, and then the shit hits the fan. But there was just no build up. And then how the fuck does he take a butcher knife and put it through, cut somebody's head off like that? Like, you have to saw, someone's head off.
Yeah.
I mean, if
With a
anyone
knife.
knew how much work it would take with a 20-inch kitchen knife, Travis,
That's
I
me.
defer to you, man.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
It was at least 25 inches.
He'd need a katana.
Yeah, there's no one-handed
Okay,
swing
yeah.
with a butcher knife. You're gonna hack that shit like a tree branch. I mean, we're talking about bone.
Yeah.
So that was lame. Well, the whole movie's lame, but
I kind of like the part where Busta is chewing out Michael Myers while dressed as Michael Myers, if only because it's like we hit rock bottom, but then I felt some cracks form, and I thought, ooh, this could get worse. And it puts me to the edge of my seat. I'm like, all right, here we go. What are we doing next?
But why would he turn and walk away?
Probably because he wanted to get out of this movie too.
I mean, seriously, he should have
My legacy.
He should have taken that butcher knife and put it right through the mouth of that mask. Just right through the mouth, teeth and all.
Oof. That would have been
And then
good.
have it go right out the back of the mask.
Yeah.
That's what I'd have done. I need to make a Halloween movie.
Yeah, there was so much head tilt.
Yeah.
Myers,
Well, wouldn't you tilt your head if all these people were
Myers
talking to you?
was tilting his head what felt like every 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, dude, You can't do it all the time, or it loses its.
It's like they were trying really hard to take what we loved about Myers in the first 2 movies. And I say 2 movies just because Rosenthal gives you a singy hair because he's not going to let you forget that he burned Michael Myers once,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it's like they couldn't figure out a way.
He burns him.
Yeah. They couldn't figure out a way to advance Michael Myers. So they did the thing where it's like, well, he's a fish out of water in a technological future. And then they're dropping stuff like Survivor references and Girls Gone Wild references and all this very, very dated to a very specific time. But it's like they just didn't have any ideas to how the guy could function. So instead they tried fish out of water but didn't commit to it.
The recipe to make this good was all there. And they just ruined it. And it bothers me that Rosenthal was involved. I don't know who wrote it. Who wrote it? Do we know? Charlie Brown? I don't know. But good grief. So bad.
But hey, I mean, there are things that we can look at as positives, right? The mask isn't, I mean, I'm going to say the mask is probably the best it's looked since the first one. I think I'm willing to say they're finally getting the look right. It only took them 7 tries to get the sequel to work. There's some really interesting stuff where...
You can't even say it.
I can't even... I mean... I like that they reference Deep Red again and Halloween 2 again. It's like Rick Rosenthal is just like, man, I've got blood in a bottle. It'd be a lot more fun if I made a big puddle of this on the floor and took a picture of it. Like, it'd be funny if somebody slipped in this again. Like,
and there's some phenomena in there with the whole where they basically had like the tub full bodies and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that whole catacombs underneath the Myers house. It had that feel of, you know, when what's her name gets kidnapped and put in, and has the little creature kid is living in the basement. Like all that stuff is there. But
you know, I thought was cool that Mike Myers eats rats
and dogs
with, what was it? Fresh. What was the seasoning that was fresh? Was it like sage or something?
Oh, I didn't even know.
It's like, that smells fresh.
Huh.
Right in the beginning. Right. The first thing that they do in there.
I remember seeing the rats,
house,
but I don't remember what he said.
It's like, hey, you want to like smell some like dank ass something or other, and like opens the spice and it's like fresh.
So he's like seasoning the rats.
So they're like, so Michael Myers still lives here. There's evidence of someone living here eating spices.
Right.
Oh no, I think
no. He's eating rats.
No, it's just that's just the detective work to realize it's all a sham. Leads up to that the Busta Rhymes speech about the right.
Oh yeah,
Americans don't like reality. They want razzle dazzle. Go along with this shit. I want my money.
So we're to believe that all that stuff, even the stuff we were thinking was Myers, it was all planted there. So Myers was not living there.
Yeah, that's what Dan's saying, and that makes sense now that I think about it.
Yeah, all like the fake, because it goes against the story, right? The high chair with the straps and all the torture devices. That's just all bullshit that Karate Kid put in there so that he could make the ratings good.
Right. You know what else doesn't make sense?
This movie,
Michael Myers is still killing people even though his sister's dead.
Again, it makes sense if you go the plot line of he's trying to wipe out birthright and what do you call it, bloodline.
No, it doesn't. Nobody in that house is related to him though.
No, it's not. But what I'm saying is if they kind of like the fog that we talked about, where it's like it would have been if it was more definite that the 6 people that died or the 5 people that died in the fog were connected to the original settlers of the town. This one, if all they had to do was establish one person was in that house, that was a Myers. But they just didn't bother.
I think that this movie thought they had accomplished something that they hadn't. I think the impression that the writer had was that by killing Laurie Strode, you've completed his mission. Hence why he hands the knife off and kind of disappears. Which frees him now to kill anybody they put in front of him. And so to put people in front of him, they open up his house and now they are in his sacrosanct house stomping on his like legacy. I think they're trying to essentially reestablish what will, what is potentially the Laurie Strode relationship before she's the sister. In Halloween 1, she's stalked because she went to his house. And so now you've just dumped a bunch of people in his house. And what else is the dude going to do besides stab everybody?
That's what I'd do.
Yeah.
I don't think that's...
They almost turned him into territorial Jason. In a way.
I mean, yeah. But that's kind of... I think they thought they got away with it. And it obviously didn't translate because... Guys. I also don't understand... And help me see if maybe I'm misremembering the 80s. But I watch a lot of 80s slasher movies, and there's a lot of like gratuitous nudity, gratuitous objectification. Sometimes it's dudes, usually it's ladies. But what they don't do in 80s movies, but I think the impression that people got from watching 80s movies, and it's a real Mandela effect situation here. I can't recall an 80s movie that frames a woman's butt, center frame, and follows it. And this movie's just like, oh, hey, it's Tyra Banks. We're going to frame her butt because we're a slasher movie, and this is what slasher movies do. It's like, no, nobody does this. Why are you doing this? Ew. Guys.
They were trying to be MTV hip.
I guess.
But it was an old guy trying to be MTV hip.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Hitchcock tried to make Last House on the Left, and instead we got Frenzy. Which this scene is super annoying for me because interspersed with unnecessary frame shots of butts and sexy drink making are the one like literate cinematic reference this movie makes, which is to Michael Powell's Peeping Tom. It's the kill with the camera tripod from the perspective of the camera. That's directly taken. I mean, it's more gory, but directly taken from a 1960 movie, came out the same year as Psycho, in color, ruined Michael Powell's career, great director, but really too extreme for its time. It's a Michael J. Fox, Marty, like, oh, your kids are going to love it situation. But they do that. They use it well in a movie. It's actually appropriate to have it with these cameras, but they soften it and kind of nerf it and also kind of ruin it by making this, Mandela effect, how we should treat women because it's a slasher movie thing, which is completely not how women were treated in the 80s.
Yeah, because this is kind of the tail end of the 90s horror movie where it was like, I Know What You Did Last Summer and all those kind of movies where it was just basically what 7 hot people can we cast and how creatively can we kill them without writing a story
or any meaningful dialogue,
right?
Except for that speech about the
right,
very meaningful. That spoke to me. I was like, yeah, man, you're right, this is all fake.
When the cameras are turned off,
yeah,
you see how the sausage is made.
Yes, sir.
I did think it was interesting that they managed to cast a woman who looked like the entire female cast of Boogie Nights at the same time. Because she looks like Julianne Moore, but she is Heather Graham. Like, it's like, how did they splice those two together? I don't understand it.
I was trying to figure out where the Burt Reynolds was. I'm like, did you see something I didn't?
He got his head karate kicked in by, Kung Fu kicked it? I don't remember which discipline Busta studied. When the bodies come out of the wall in the catacombs, it seems really familiar because they have a movie called Deadly Manor. Directed by Jose Ramon Larraz, who we haven't talked about in a while. Not one of his better movies, but at the end of the movie, a couple of like naked dead bodies fall out of the walls, which is a non sequitur that is jarring in a movie that really had no tension. It's like a last second, like, ugh. Same thing here. Even though those were fake, I have a good feeling that woman, if she had survived, would need a lot of therapy.
Yeah. Well, it's like the end of Poltergeist. Like I would like to see the psychological bills of that family after the events of that movie. And
that wasn't even coitus interruptus,
right.
I have a feeling they shut a door with her that wasn't gonna be easy to pry back open.
Talk about getting a boner.
My God.
Oh, God.
Is that hold on, you just said a term, coitus interruptus?
Yeah.
Coitus.
Did you just make that shit up?
No, that's a
that
term.
exists.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when you get interrupted.
No, I know what it is. But
Welcome
I'm
to
playing along.
Latin sex talk with
Wait,
Dan.
what's the term from
I didn't know-
improv?
I
Dan, you say?
didn't.
Yes,
Yeah.
and.
Yes,
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 and.
and.
Yes, and.
I was just playing
Yeah,
along.
okay. Oh my god, I didn't know that there was like a name for that, and that it would be interruptus.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I don't know if it's actually Latin, but that is a term that people throw around. I've never bothered to look at the etymology to see if it's in fact.
Right.
I believe the coitus is Latin and the interruptus is a play off of an English word.
Yeah.
No, I mean
It's not
here
real.
Here it is. It's
Is it in there?
the Mayo
it
Clinic has
scientific?
it listed.
Huh.
Wow.
Hmm.
Well, then there it is.
Boom. Science.
I would have just looked it up on Urban Dictionary.
I mean, here we go, guys. Here we go.
See, I'm learning stuff every week.
See, in a movie that you thought couldn't teach you a thing, taught you a really fun term.
It taught me a lot.
Hey, did you like the Argento blood when the Bloody Tears came out? Like all of a sudden their blood quality dropped and it was 1974 again. That was pretty weird.
They wasted it all on the floor.
2 different kills, man. That's double the Argento blood for your money.
They were probably scooping that shit up and pouring it out again.
Dude,
Carpenter style.
even then, I thought the door stab wasn't bad. As far as like
No.
harkening back to the original, still being effective. Like, dude getting
But
pinned
see-
to a door is pretty cool.
When you discuss movies with people that don't enjoy the originals, like that's my problem with Facebook right now. There's so many people that just are too young to appreciate older movies and what they've done. That very scene when he sticks Bob to the wall, he's kind of backlit. Myers is. You
Okay.
only see certain contours of the face.
Mm-hmm.
It's an eerie, nuanced kind of scene. You get the head tilt, but the room is shady.
Yes.
Lots of shadows. There's so many freaking close-ups of Michael Myers. Like, I feel like it's a glam shoot. Like, and then he's like all this eye contact, and then
Yeah, I knew that there was something going on there that didn't sit right with me, and I think you just hit the nail on the head because there were some really good shots of Myers in this, like to the point where I was like, damn, Alex, that's pretty good. That was a good shot.
Like the blue,
that's a good shot.
The blue lighting and stuff.
And then they would follow it up with like a close up. Like I just don't want to see
I don't wanna
Michael
see his
Myers'
pupils,
eyes,
yeah.
man. I just want to see deadness.
Like for me, the key scenes for original Myers that I love is his expression that you fill in the blank. Like when he breaks through the closet and he's looking for her, and then he kind of turns his head and looks down and then sees her.
Yeah.
You can't see his eyes, but you know
Right.
what his eyes are doing. Like you're filling it in.
Right.
Same
He's a
thing with,
Rorschach image.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the same thing with right after he kills Linda, and the ghost sheet comes off of him, and he stands up, and Jamie's talking on the other side of the phone, and he just picks the phone to his ear, and you can't see what his face is doing, but you can totally imagine what his face is doing. Like
Right.
he's doing all this, and it's to me it's great acting work that Castle does, because you're not seeing his face, but you're seeing his face through the mask. And just that whole putting the phone to his ear and then kind of bringing his face up, that's all missing in these newer movies. Like, they don't have the nuance of Michael Myers. They just have the freight train or whatever it is that they're trying to convey, the Porsche version of Jason Voorhees. Like, they're not doing anything that was, and that's why when you get in that argument / discussion with people and they talk about how Myers is slow, he's boring, he's this, he's that. And it's like, you're the same person that doesn't get half the shit that we're talking about on this show.
Yeah, they're missing the point.
They're missing the point. And to me, so are and it sucks that it's Rosenthal.
So are the
that
people
does it.
making half these movies.
Yeah, like when you get somebody who gets it, you get a Friday 13th reboot.
Right.
Or Texas Chainsaw reboot. You get somebody who doesn't get it, you get the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot. you
Right.
get this bullshit. And it sucks because Rosenthal was part of the original movies. He should have been able to channel some of that, but he didn't learn anything.
Maybe
Apparently.
he really wanted Bud or somebody from Halloween 2 to karate kick Michael Myers and then shock him in the testicles. And
Right.
John Carpenter was like, I have creative control. I'm not going to let you do that. And then he, this far in, Carpenter's not involved. And finally, Rick Rosenthal can shock a man's balls.
I agree with that. But then again, they did allow the Ben Tramer scene, which is ridiculous. So
I love the Ben
Shock a
Tramer
man's balls
scene.
with a microphone cable.
Gotta
that
get
what
that
that was?
low
Wasn't it like
impedance buzz.
Wasn't it like
I don't-
Speakon?
I
It
didn't
was
pay
like
that
a
much attention.
I
I
didn't
checked out
either.
pretty hard.
I was
by them,
gonna
man.
I was gonna rewind it, but I was like, "There's no way there's any current in that wire, like not a single. There's no way."
Dan, did you ever see the movie Crawl?
I have not seen the movie Crawl.
Okay. It's like Jaws, but in a basement. If that makes sense.
Wait a minute. Have I seen the movie Crawl?
There's a shark in the basement.
That
No,
sounds familiar. Is it recent or is
an
it old?
alligator.
Okay.
It takes place in Florida. It's like maybe the past 5 or 6 years. Basically, the water levels rise in this Florida town, whatever. They evacuate the town.
Oh, no. I'm thinking of something way different.
The girl goes back to get her father because he went to the house to do whatever, and they wind up getting circled. The land gets encircled by water, and then
Oh, yeah. This
they end up
looks
in
fun.
the basement. Blah, blah,
I
blah.
mean,
There's a-
it's not gonna change.
it's a good
my
movie.
philosophical outlook, but it looks better than this movie.
It's a good movie. It's a good kind of suspenseful, But to me, you could have done something like that with Michael Myers in this house, and they just didn't have the creativity or the want to do it. But you could easily. I mean, the tension in Crawl, it's an alligator. The isolation, all that stuff. It's very, very suspenseful. And this movie has no suspense whatsoever.
I was thinking
Even
of The Cellar, not Crawl.
Okay.
Very similar from your initial synopsis. It sounded very similar,
Right.
but I couldn't make it through The Cellar. It was too stupid. That's
I watched Crawl by accident, and I enjoyed it. So I don't know if you'll like it, but
It looks fine. It looks like more fun than The Cellar. So that's my tepid, hesitant endorsement.
I still don't recall asking to watch this movie.
You got to go listen to the show. It was the H2O episode.
He ain't gonna
H2O.
lsun to the show.
I know. He never listened to the show. It's probably for the better. It keeps him fresh.
I listened to the show today.
Did you?
I did.
At the request of Richard.
Actually, it was Richard who
His
prompted me
endorsement
to.
made
Yeah.
you watch your own show, listen to your own show.
I went back and I listened to The Exorcist because of Richard.
Oh, so good.
He's already doing the Lord's work. He's not even here yet.
Yeah.
You know what really cost this movie? It goes back to the writers.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have the have to. If you don't have the have to, you're not going to get it done. That's a lesson I learned from the Rookie of the Year, and it applies here.
Oh
The
my god!
have
I was
to.
like, "What is the have to? What is he
The
talking
have
about?"
to. What the heck am I talking about? Actually, that's the next line in the movie.
Right.
The pitcher goes, "What the heck's he talking about?" And the guy who tells him about the have to walks off the field going, "What the hell am I talking about? The have to." Guys, Rookie of the Year. We should have watched that instead.
I'm gonna have to look
But
it up in the
didn't we
Mayo
get-
Clinic dictionary.
Didn't we
The
get
have to.
Halloween 2 because of the have to?
Yeah.
I
we
mean,
did.
seriously, we
I mean,
kind
yeah,
of did.
there you go. There
Yeah.
you go. Just for
Cool.
the money, right? God, in the movie, okay, Resurrection had some ambition at some point in the writing process because they realized that they could turn, this audience at the party into the voyeurs that we are as horror fans. Like they had a thing they
Yes.
were going for, but they just, I don't know if they got hung up on that and just forgot to make the rest of the movie. But
No, I know
the part
exactly
where the
what happened.
friend walks in and is shocked to see that his nerdy friend has like all the cool people in the room with him, he makes a face of like, "What am I doing in here?" Like that's the best acting in the whole movie
Yeah,
is his face.
It was like a
'cause
Peter Parker moment. Like he was literally like the coolest guy in the room, and his friends didn't know why.
Well, and I love to see, I think it's Windows 98 at like a 320 by 240 resolution on a 42 or 50-inch TV. Because all those things at that time, that is the edge of technology. That's the kind of thing, if I'd seen this movie when it came out, which I didn't because, but had I seen this movie, I would have been like, yeah, this movie was stupid. But I wish my computer could display on a TV that big in a room like that. Nowadays, we can do that with our phones to a TV without even hooking a wire to it. But in 2001, that was really cool.
1990, we were hooking my Nintendo up to my dad's 50-inch projection screen TV.
That probably
to
was
see
terrible.
that 8-bit
Yeah.
on that. Oh, yeah, Mario looked like he was made out of like boxes. But yeah, so I can imagine.
Duck Hunt was like fish in a barrel on that TV.
Hi, this is Dan in Post. You and I both know that a rear projection TV with a flat screen would never correctly work with an NES light gun, the Zapper. I didn't want to jump on George about that because this isn't a Nintendo podcast, but guys, I'm with you. We know that wouldn't work. All right, back to the show.
So anyway, I know what happened. I can tell you right now, based on this cast. You had way too many chefs on set running things. I guarantee you, if you talk to the producers and or the director of this movie, Busta Rhymes was a handful.
Well, I've heard that he got to rewrite a lot of his dialogue, which I know surprises everyone here.
I could just tell by the way they were acting in the movie, they were probably hot shit on the set.
There is a scene in the booth, and I can't remember if he's asking for a different camera angle or he comes up with some creative decision, and then he does the Joey Tribbiani fart acting. Did you guys watch Friends? It's been a while since we referenced Friends on this show, but you know how you act in silence is just to smell the fart. And he is smelling all the farts.
Yeah, smelling every fart.
So many farts.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that was part of the problem.
I'm going to need an example of that type of acting. I don't get it. I don't watch Friends.
I'm going to send you the clip off air.
Yeah, please do.
So that you can...
I'm doing the face right now.
Travis is doing the face.
Travis is doing the face. I love it.
But yeah, do you still have your access to Resurrection? Has your rental run out yet?
No, I believe it's paused in the background.
You paid money
here.
for this?
Yeah.
You better turn in your petty cash receipts.
Yeah, right.
We'll get Blanche to reimburse you.
So George, I think next week we should probably watch a better movie. What do you think?
Yeah, next time when I say I want to watch a bad movie, don't let me. Just
okay. We will protect you from yourself going forward. That's our pledge. But next week, George, we will be watching a movie with a guest.
Oh.
Now, Richard Oliver from the Chasing Tone podcast, a guitar podcast without which I wouldn't know either of you two dudes, is going to join us. And we are going to talk about the classic American scary movie, Prom Night.
Ooh.
Do you know anything about Prom Night, George?
Nope.
Any idea who's in it?
Nope.
Any idea what
Johnny
it's
Depp.
about?
I think John Mayer's in it.
Do you remember who Tom Atkins
John Mayer in it?
Do you know Tom Atkins and his fuzzy mustache? Because he's not in it, as far as I can recall.
No, he's
okay,
not.
good. All right, okay,
he's not taking people to the prom.
That's who I couldn't remember last week.
No, you couldn't.
That I had seen the week before.
We're going to take a trip back to 1980. We're going to enjoy the American classic Prom Night, which is actually a good movie, as opposed to the train wreck that we just spent an hour talking about.
Well, I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, really. I mean, he didn't like a couple things that we thought were American classics.
It's true. He likes a lot of garbage too, so we'll see.
Garbage day.